Hey, we love that umbrella guy. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Damn, that was...
I'm calling from Los Angeles, and I'm having a little problem under the name ThATuMBRELLAgUY. I sent him my phone number at least 20 times in the chat and told him to call me. He ignored me, or I'm a man. I filed the report. If you guys could take a look at it and give me a call back, I would love to hear what you guys can do to help us. We really need to kind of stop this guy at least until Monday. I told him to call me, or I'm a man.
Police or zombie problems? Your tortoise won't stop breakdancing?
Try blue tape.
The miracle of our age. Yay!
Welcome to the hat rack. Preston, army of one. Population, army of one. Thumping the mic like a nuclear missile. Forged from bars of platinum grill dismissal. Blasting PR that's so out of hand that all the fudge rounds in the world won't keep you off the witness stand. And do I know? No. Do I know? No. Well, I'm aware you never made it on my live show. And you're so hot and twisted. You mainlined a career path of lawyer once, but now delisted. Always saying the unspoken parts out loud. Grinning through questions, really are you that proud? We got him, he took the bait. Content Krampus in the meat sweats, delivering the mic hate. And here's a statement of fact. On the mic, there's one thing that you really lack. Yeah, we're talking mic skills. Unless it's gripped and rock shaped like socks to all the misguided shills. Those aren't socks. Imagine making a website admitting that despite your denials, there's no acquitted. You put your name up in lights, an ecosystem comprised of a group of random parasites. And me, I've got this feeling that ringworm would be far more appealing than tuning into that for a few hours and all the stupid that noise empowers. Granted, there's one thing that's entertaining, and that's amidst all that craning. You really think that you're shrewd while going from PR and lawyer to all of you getting silted. Oh, and one of you has turned, and guess what? It's a name that you haven't yet learned. Someone deep in your conspiracy who's leaking info. Patience, you just wait and see. Maybe I should wear a mask, because admittedly I'm enjoying this task. So much it seems like a crime watching morons talk themselves into possibly doing time. You've been celebrating like it's Christmas, like you've won some kind of award. But the only award I'm seeing is being added to a conspiracy that includes allegations of a hitman. A hitman? Seriously? And going after witnesses in a trial, promising retaliation from the dark web. Your word, dark web, some people never learn.
All right. What's up, folks? How's it going? You know what I love? I love the fact that I get to use Santa talk again. That's right. We are getting closer and closer. We're getting right past Turkey Talk. We're getting right into Santaville. Man, how's it going, folks? I hope you are doing great today, by the way. Oh, I have had a, I just really, you'll notice I messed up in the intro. One of the one of the songs took a minute to come up. That's because I was still setting up. I literally got home like with it was like 30 minutes before the show was supposed to set up. I was like, oh no. Oh, and what a day it's been too. What a freaking day. I mean, there's something developing that I'm going to mention today as well, but we will go over tomorrow. But there's some crazy stuff. We have a judge. Remember the Judge Grudge thing? Remember Bruce and Lynette were being sued because of certain messages that were out there? Yeah. That decision, of course, came in, and it went like you would expect. I mean, honestly, I don't think there was a lot of mystery meat in what was going to be there. You know, I mean, I think we all knew how that was going to turn out. But, you know, the beautiful thing about that wasn't just Judge Grudge getting removed from that case. It is what judge gets attached, aka the one judge so far that seems to be pretty persistent. That would be Judge Grabe. That's right. We have had a new attachment for a judge. Woohoo! So that might get interesting. So we're going to talk about all that today. We're going to talk about what we're looking at really as far as a case is concerned, you know, with all of that too. And we're going to talk about the letters that Lynette Preston has kind of added to the fray. You know, they ended up on the they ended up attached to Granger and Granger, you know, all of that stuff. But they ended up docketed, which is, it's really interesting when you see a judge or a judicial staff docket somebody's emails. That's saying, wait a minute, there's something a little bit off with all of this. You know what I mean? It's a lot of interesting stuff. On top of that, the ecosystem, they have decided to take aim at Silverman. They dropped the two journalists. I use that with air quotes. They decided to drop an article on him today. That's actually something I'm trying to see how far down the rabbit hole some of this goes. You know, some of the crazy, because the way that they're setting up and the stuff that Bruce has stated in the past, I really think that they're trying to gear up. I very much believe this. I believe that they think they're going to sue Silverman. I really do. After seeing them, this is like, check this out. I want to show you this. This is not our topic for today, but I do. This will be our topic for tomorrow. We are definitely getting into this topic tomorrow because this will be a fun one. Because I mean, 1 second, I got a cough, and you know I have to mute, so give me a second. Sorry about that. You know, mic etiquette and all that. But check this out. This is nuts. Look, Florida attorney's unethical cowardice causes heartache and polymop in Hales case. Florida attorney Josh Silverman sold out his client last year and left her to fend for herself against Jeremy Hales. Holy God. Oh my God, they're moving against Silverman. Oh, this is beautiful. So I've got a few things to find out about that. I need to pull up. Also, if somebody could help me with this, I would very much appreciate something. There were a bunch of statements that Bruce and others made about Silverman going after him. You know, and I would love a little bit of help pulling those together. If anybody out there has the time to do so, I feel like putting them on the record is very important. So if you do have the time and you have the want to do that, then, you know, send away, and it is much appreciated. Because, I mean, that is crazy, isn't it? They're targeting Silverman. Someone should warn someone. Oh, he knows. He knows. You know, now I'm wondering if somebody should reach out to him journalistically and see if he would like to make a comment, which I doubt he will. But I'm pretty sure he knows, considering they leaked some of his emails where Volpe has been targeting him. I mean, this stuff is nuts. But it's always entertaining. That's what you get. This is exactly what you get for going and becoming one of her lawyers. This is what happens to you. It doesn't matter if you see, this is what I've learned here. It doesn't matter if you advocate. It doesn't matter if you don't. And I hope, I realize this is a Bruce talking point, but I hope Bruce also, I hope he's gathering something from this. I hope he understands that he's not out of those woods either. Even if this is his talking point, that she thinks that her lawyers are fair game. So again, you know, when they say Jeremy this, Jeremy that, nah, man, it's apparently by the way, this is funny. So last night with the ecosystem, I found out a wonderful thing. I found out, let's actually pull up something that will tell us about this. Okay. I want to give somebody a shout out again. I haven't done this in a minute. Let's see. So you don't have to. That's a lot. I want to give I Watch So You Don't Have To a little bit of love, because it's been a hot minute, and I actually go over I Watch So You Don't Have To all the time. So I do want to give her another shout out here. Give me a second here. If you don't know who I'm talking about, you are missing out on one of the biggest treats out there. This is on Facebook, by the way. You can find her real easily. See, I Watch So You Don't Have To. So just say IWSYDHT. Look her up, find her. She'll give you good breakdowns. Well, there's one thing in last night's stream that I do want to mention before we get into everything, because I thought this was funny. Apparently, they're mad because I call them anti-Hales. Look, the flea and all, again, there's a lot more breakdown. I love the breakdowns. They're funny. You know, they're beautiful. But I'm going to pick out a section because I want you to hear this, because I think it's funny. The flea, in all her glory, calls Tug a doofus for calling the quote-unquote anti-Hales people anti-Hales. She doesn't like being grouped into a bundled ecosystem deal. So they want individuality. They think that they're individual. And yet, you know, when you think about what they do, they all act, they act in this giant concerted effort. They don't report on cases. They don't do anything differently. I mean, without Hales, who or what are they? They're nothing. They are nothing. So, good luck with that. So, of course, I refer to them. I will put a name here and there. Like I will put Lisa on something every now and then. But I refer to them all as anti-Hales. I put that on titles and everything else because that's what they are. To me, they're just a giant amalgamation of stupid. And it's glorious to make fun of. But she's whining. She's an individual scoundrel. And when Tug blankets them all together, it gets confusing. Quote, he could be talking about Deuce, and I get thrown into the fray, she complains. Say what you mean, dude. Oh, and the flea pisses forward. Now, that's funny, too, because, you know, they take a lot of time to throw Bruce under the bus, you know. You notice Bruce is usually the go-to. They tried to say, by the way, that they made good with Bruce, but they threw him under the bus quite a bit. I hope Bruce really took like stock of what they thought about him and all his efforts to make them the number one anti-Hales ecosystem show. You know, all that money and all of that, Bruce made them. So I hope he really does see that, and I hope it makes him mad. All right, but anyway, Gatorbutt, he also reminds her there's no anti-Hales. It's just all anti-lies. Now the flea isn't messing around. she shovels some remaining cheese into her hole. Oh, yeah, they were eating all night last night. By the way, something happened that's real funny last night. I want to tell you about that too. And then we'll get into our fun here. And reminds the gator butt that, quote, they are the ones being called anti-Hales. That's what they call us as a group. She sounds irritated with Gator's analogy. Blink, blink. With that resounding smack of those crusty lips, she proceeds to remind him that, quote, I'm not anti-Hales, I'm anti-bullying. Eating lasagna last night. Disgusting. By the way, now there is a really weird storyline that is developing here. And I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but I'm going to cue you in on it. We have kind of a Romeo and Juliet thing budding here. That's right. A forbidden love, because between the anti-Hales and, well, I would say people that are covering things, talking about truth and things, therefore not anti-Hales. We saw something happen. We saw Just J Hip become Fleece's first. Last night it happened. In the midst of one libation too many, Just J, he was out there. He was tickling the old ivories or whatever the plastic keyboard version of that is. And he decided that he would be her first redirect. That's right. So he was like, he decided to whisper those sweet nothings. He was like, oh man, if people would like to go and raid that beautiful Fleeca, join me. And guess what happened? He took her from around 100 watchers to making up comprising 75% of her watchers. Oh my God, it was pretty funny. It was funny. But I think we've just tuned in again. Star-crossed lovers. Sexy, huh? Sexy time. I know you're like, wow, that's amazing, Tug. I know. I'm here for all the big stories. Oh, that's pretty gross. Okay, so I'm going to show you something that has happened in really a little swarm of, you knew it was going to happen, and then it did. So just to remind you how we get to where we are, we had Randy file a very interesting filing asking for the disqualification of Judge Craig T. ThATuMBRELLAgUY, which needs to happen, by the way. Hitting some high points on this. Again, I actually think this is a pretty good filing. I'm going to go quickly through some of the high points here, just so you understand why this has to happen. It has to happen. There is no way on God's green earth this was not going to happen. But the judge replacement, oh wow, fun time. So you see with the preliminary statement, he was like, well, plaintiff, they're asking that when you look at this, court has to keep an open mind. Now, as far as this, they're questioning the ability to be impartial rather than the judge's perception that they are impartial. There's a big difference, Are you impartial or do you think you're impartial? Now, they go through and they talk about why that has to happen, and then they talked about the basis. Now, the basis, it was pretty interesting because we saw a writ of prohibition. If anybody missed this chapter, essentially, the Judge Craig T. ThATuMBRELLAgUY, aka the Grudge Judge, he was very, very biased, let's just say. So biased, in fact, that you had another court step in and say, yeah, that guy needs to be removed. Now, even before they made their decision, as they said, Judge ThATuMBRELLAgUY said, well, you know what? Obviously, I don't think this is going to come to fruition. So he had commented on what was going to happen with another court's decision, which underlines a problem there. Now, when they stepped in and they talked about it, they said, quote, Judge ThATuMBRELLAgUY, quote, should have recused himself on one or more of Hales' motions to disqualify, that Hales demonstrated a sufficient basis for disqualification, and once a basis for disqualification had been established, prohibition is an appropriate and necessary remedy. So again, they're like, and this is before, by the way, this is something to hammer here because you really need to understand this too. They made that decision without knowing that there were 3 ex parte proceedings that had been concealed by the trial court from all parties. People, you've got to think about that. Hales did not know that there had been multiple meetings between Preston and ThATuMBRELLAgUY, and the ThATuMBRELLAgUY had made statements that very much looked like bias. He had taken evidence from her and he had actually looked over it. He had given her legal advice, which is absolutely insane. They had hidden that. They decided on different merits. They didn't even know about that stuff yet. Imagine if they would have. God, I mean, that is insane. And they note this, videos of these ex parte proceedings were obtained and viewed by plaintiffs. These videos, they showed that during the 3 ex parte proceedings, documents were submitted by Miss Preston to the judge for review, in which he did review. Requests for affirmative relief were made by Miss Preston. Legal advice was given to Miss Preston by ThATuMBRELLAgUY. Additional information about the case was provided to ThATuMBRELLAgUY by Preston. And ThATuMBRELLAgUY also told her that he, quote unquote, knew that the defendant in the case was a YouTuber. Now, again, that questions neutrality. And as they said here, his neutrality, it would be in question for sure. And of course, obviously, when you look at this, he has to step aside. You knew that, that's going to happen. There is no way, because if he didn't, that becomes its own issue. You know that even with the ego there that you see, that's still not going to happen. He's not going to. So we have 2 pieces to follow up on that. Number 1, we had, check this out here. By the way, I think many people, again, MaxLab. I enjoy thinking MaxLab. MaxLab, he has his own channel right now. I would recommend that people, if they want to go and check out documents, they want to pick them up, and you should view them yourself, by the way. Never take my word or anyone else's word for it. Again, I go over them, I give you my opinion, but I try to include as many as I can. And now there are a lot of them out there. So just remember that. There are a lot of documents. MaxLab, though, has been putting them up. He's been doing his thing out there, and you should check it out, for sure. One day I'll go over there and, he is asked, by the way, hey, one day if you want to come over and goof off, yes, I will. I definitely will. We just have to figure out when and how that sets up. And yes, I will help. I'll help you try to get your 4K watch hours for sure. MaxLab, like I said, has been sending documents forever, and I appreciate that. Again, there are other people that do it too. Like I said, I want to give thanks for that. People like him, Melissa. Again, Pam. God, there are a lot. There's so many. I'm gonna leave too many of you out. So I apologize. I know I leave people out, and I hate doing that. But anyway, so this is a document that rolls in on the 17th. We have an order on the motion to disqualify. Now, of course, this is going to come in. Who's going to come in from, by the way? This came from Judge Craig C. ThATuMBRELLAgUY. TC, who cares, right? But this is the order on motion to disqualify. Now, this cause, having come before the court for review of motion to disqualify, filed on 11/13/2025, this court, having limited its review in conformity with the following applicable rules of general practice and judicial administration, and it goes through which ones? As set forth below. H, determination, initial motion. The judge against whom an initial motion to disqualify under subdivision E is directed may determine only the legal sufficiency of the motion and shall not pass on the facts or the truth of the facts alleged. If any motion is legally insufficient, an order denying the motion shall immediately be entered. No other reason for denial shall be stated, and an order of denial shall not take issue with the motion. If the motion is legally sufficient, the judge shall immediately enter an order granting disqualification and proceed no further with the action. Now, I always love this, by the way, this statement here. I love it because they added this into the rules. You know, this was written by a bunch of judges saying, we don't admit to any wrongdoing we've ever done. Essentially, such an order does not constitute acknowledgement that the allegations are true. So, I mean, they step aside because of the allegations there, but they're not admitting that there was ever any wrong. I love that. I love how judges, they give themselves an out. Don't you just love that? They're like, we're not really admitting we ever did anything. That's some politicians speak. Do you think you or I would get away with treating it like that? And again, that is quoting law. That is not something that he is stating. That is something that's in there. But you know, those are judges that have set aside again. That is their own eject button. They're like, yeah, we're not admitting anything there. But it is therefore ordered and adjudicated that the motion is granted. So, of course, as we knew, he would have to step aside. He has to step aside. There is no question. I mean, the whole idea that Thomases would be kept on it would just be lunacy. You know, I mean, I can't even imagine him trying that. Now it gets really fun right after that because we get our order of reassignment. Because if one judge is out, then another judge, of course, has to be in. Now, this is where things get frisky, and you gotta love it. You absolutely have to love it. Why? Because the one judge that has been a hammer again, we didn't see enough of Davis to make a comment on Davis. I think Davis would have been a good judge, hearing from everything that's stated there, but we didn't see him. So again, don't know about that, right? Let me get a drink here. Oh, it's good. Sorry, I'm getting a little caffeine for one day. It's like, oh my goodness. Oh my God, look at this. Well, look. I love that. I did a scientific experiment, and the conclusion is it is possible to quietly eat chicken skin without all the disgusting noises. Oh my God. You mean all of those pig noises? They aren't required? You're kidding me. You mean she could eat out of a bowl and not a trough? That's amazing. I never knew that. God, I'm glad some of you out there would look into this for science. Okay, now here is our order of reassignment. So check this out. Again, this is in the matter of, you notice, by the way, the order of Jeremy Hales and Randy Shockett, plaintiff. That's right. Randy Shockett, plaintiff. Dun, dun, dun. You got to admit that's some pretty saucy stuff, right? When you're looking at the case that we're talking about. If any of you missed this, by the way, we will look at that in a minute. We're going to look, first of all, we're going to actually look at the LP letter that ended up on that. I wonder if it'll come up in this stuff too. I'm not sure, because I know Bruce and Lynette Preston, you know, they've gotten in a little bit of, they got a little bit of problem, a little bit of a pickle. So some of the stuff that ended up on the docket for Granger v, it is now here, you know, because of that. But this guy, I mean, that's crazy to think. You think about all the stuff Bruce, though, he said in his letters, which we'll look at. Like I said, I think those are important too. But the order of reassignment. So the judge that's going to be over this. So this matter is before the court for reassignment. Now, the case is currently assigned to the Honorable Craig C. DeThomas's, you know. Now, upon the order of disqualification, that means, of course, he has stepped aside. He has disqualified himself. It has to go somewhere else. It is therefore, Judge, that this case is hereby reassigned to the Honorable Judge Robert K. Grabe. Well. Now, what makes this interesting to me, at least, is the fact that right now, if it stays the way that it is, this is the guy whose people thought that what they were seeing was bad enough that it needed to be pointed out to other counsel. They put it on the docket. They put these messages on the docket. You know, so they're the only judges. Not like right now, I firmly believe that the ecosystem that they've told us, let me go with it this way. They have told us, people like Lips told us that they wrote the Ohio court, that they had written the federal court. Not that they put in cases in there and said, hey, look at this matter, but they had written them as well. This is the only court that did the thing that you're supposed to in that, and actually let the attorneys know, because they're supposed to. If there's something that's people are trying to involve themselves in a case, you know, they're trying to bias that. If a judge ends up potentially seeing something, or his staff has, that is a huge issue. So this court, they did point it out. They were like, look, this is a problem here. You know, potentially you need to see what's going on. And that, again, that turned into a lawsuit. So now they're facing down Judge Craig, at least so far. Again, you never know, twists and turns, how anything could turn out. I mean, but it looks like it's going to go this way. It looks like their worst nightmare, the judge that they don't control, they may be facing off against. They're not going to enjoy that either. I mean, if you want to look at some of the stuff that these idiots have been doing, by the way. So we, man, some of this just blows my mind when I'm pulling this up. Okay. So I want to show you something else that ended up on the docket. Now, this is a Michelle Preston letter. All right. This ends up on the docket. Give me a second here. Oops, there's a redaction that's missed, actually. Give me a second here. There's something that did not redact. It's easy to miss one, you know. I would say, actually, let me see. There is one little redaction. This won't take me, but it's the second. But it's did you hear, by the way, Bruce, did you strike a channel for a parody laughing at your screw ups in court? Did you try to file a privacy complaint about that? As there's also something I want you all to keep an eye out for Shizzy, because Shizzy is going to drop a bombshell on you guys. He is. He's going to tell you about something that, the ecosystem keeps telling you that if certain people have records and more, that they need proof, right? We need proof. We need to prove that that's true, right? Well, yeah, apparently when you try to do that, apparently they try to strike it. So I think Shizzy is going to have a really fun report for you guys. Oh, you will definitely have to keep your ears on for that one. I was like, dude, what now? They tried to strike what now? And again, it's not, it's amazing. They do everything in their power to keep people from finding about certain criminal records. They want to shut them down. And that blows my mind. Give me 1 minute. There's actually a couple missed in here. You have to watch those email addresses. They pop up, so many of them pop up in something that it's easy to miss them. Gosh. It's amazing like how much stuff pops up. Give me 1 minute. I'm almost done here. But yeah, they've been trying to flag channels. So they did flag one channel, or attempt to, I'm going to say, for comedy. That's right. Comedy, making light of just how bad certain people are about their filings. Yeah, they tried to strike that. Can you imagine? And then on top of that, they tried to strike something else. They tried to strike somebody showcasing. Give me 1 minute here. Is that the new one? Let me see. 1 second. I'm making sure I've got two of these open, so make sure this is the right one. But they tried to strike multiple people, and one of them though was because they were showing records. Let's say, isn't that interesting? Again, show us proof that someone's a felon. Oh, you showed proof? We're going to try to drug it. Okay. Fun times, right? Fun times indeed. Again, keep an eye on Shizzy. I think Shizzy's going to really, he's going to tear somebody up because of the games they've been playing. All right. So you see this wonderful little item. This popped up on the docket. This popped up in the last day or so. Now, you know about the Bruce letters, right? You've seen those. You notice who this one's from? Again, I was redacting a piece because, right here, there's so many email addresses. This is part of a court docket. You don't have to redact this stuff. I don't give anybody a reason to try to report it. If you miss one or two, you've made the attempt as well. You don't technically have to do all of that, but this has been added to the freaking docket. Let's read this over. Again, notice who this is from. This is from Michelle Preston. Michelle Preston. Now, some of you may have seen parts of this or whatever, but this is the official docketed portion. So again, even if you think, hey, wait a minute, that looks familiar. Yeah, this just came up on the docket. Isn't that interesting? I love it, by the way. When a court does what it's supposed to do, these people are not supposed to be. They can write about. They can tell the judicial staff, the judicial assistants, hey, we have filed this motion or that motion. Please be advised. So they're just saying you'll see that off and on. You'll see Randy write those, for example. He'll say, please be advised. We filed 2 motions. That way, the staff, they know that this stuff has popped up, because otherwise, how are they going to know that stuff has been filed? So there is a procedure where you're supposed to, you write in, you inform, and that's it. But you're not supposed to try to, you can also clarify for times and other things, but trying to bias the court, that's a little bit different. Now again, you're going to have to make arguments about why something is or isn't allowed, but this is something else. Okay, I like this admission too. We talked about a little bit of this, and I think it's a little bit more than this, but you have a word here that is written to the judge, or the judicial staff rather, that it's an interesting admission. So it says, this is again from Michelle Preston. Miss Thompson, or Thomas, my bad, I said Thompson, Thomas. Bruce Madskin, again, this has just been added to the official record. So if you look, it's not an email anymore. It is now one of, when we talk about this is item number 15 or item number 16. Yeah, this is on the docket. So just making that clear, even if you've seen it, you saw an unofficial version of it. This is the official version. So, Miss Thomas, Bruce Manskin has not pretended to be my lawyer or acted as my lawyer. Bruce has continued to advise us and have maybe ghostwritten a motion at some point to help us. Now, here's the thing. That word right there is a powerful word, because when you ghostwrite something, that doesn't mean that you assist with it. Ghostwrite, well, let's see, ghost writing. Let's see what that says. Let's see, meaning. Let me go with meaning. Ghostwriting meaning. That means to write the material for someone else who is the named author. So again, if I slap my name on something and I say, yeah, that's me, but it was ghost written, that means I actually didn't write it. That means someone else wrote it and I slapped my name on it. So what she's saying here is that, yeah, Bruce, he may have totally written something for us and I may have slapped my name on it, but no big deal. That's what that word means. Ghost written emotion. And we know what motion this is. I'm pretty damn sure that we can say what motion that is. Why do you think? Well, because when you look at it, again, the whole answers, the answers, defenses, and counterclaims. You remember that whole filing? Well, at the bottom of it, it says that they had help preparing it. So they, again, if that is also, here's the thing, Lynette. If you did not mean to say, hey, he wrote it all for us, then you should have chose better words, because words do have, they have exact meanings sometimes. Sometimes you can say, well, a little bit of colloquialism here or there or whatever, but other times words have very exact meanings. Now, again, if you look at this, here is the document I'm talking about. This is the answers, counterclaims, and more. So check this out here. Answers and counterclaims. Again, you can see prepared with the free assistance of a lawyer. So it should say ghostwritten by, totally prepared, not prepared with the assistance, but prepared by. That would be Bruce. They're talking about Bruce. Isn't that amazing? So she had gave up the game with that word right there. That word says, yes, he wrote that document for us. That is 100%. I love this. Absolutely. It's so crazy, man. Yeah, he's not lullering. That's right, Kermit lives. But yet he goes right. Make it make sense. I don't know. Just, you know what I say? Enjoy the shit, Joe. Enjoy it. But he maybe goes through an emotion at some point to help us, but he has not represented us in any way since we released him. So he's advising us. He's writing our motions. He's writing to the court. We're talking about him too after he gets in trouble with it, trying to provide him cover as a smokescreen. But we're not tied together in any way. No way. No way whatsoever. Oh my God, this is amazing. I love this stuff. But since we released him, this again is another contrived lie from Mr. Shuckett and his client Jeremy Hales. Dun dun dun. Oh my God. Lynette, you know what causes your problems? This kind of stuff. This kind of stuff causes problems. And it gets even crazier. This is going to get worse. Just to cause more problems, get more content on YouTube. Well, you know what? Jeremy really doesn't get a lot of content off of this. Let me say this. You know who gets a lot of content off me? I get a lot of content off because this is the greatest shit show ever, you know? And again, I hate this for Jeremy. I really do. Seriously, all joking aside, I could find something else to cover. And if this would just dry up and blow away, that'd be great. You know, I'd rather, I'm glad that I've gotten to know Hales and other people that are attached to this. I am glad for that, but I wouldn't wish it on anyone. Having said that, it is happening. We cannot deny it. And if it's going to happen, I'm definitely going to cover it. And they will not force me off of it, ever. Threat of litigation. Like I said, sue me, mofo. I've got the atomic bomb of freaking atomic bombs. And you dropped that lawsuit that you said you're going to try to file. You put my name on a lawsuit with MP, HG, and John Cook. And you see my response to it. I'm going to sue the fuck out of them. And I have such a, I mean, again, I can't ruin the game. I can't ruin the game. When it happens, I really want to. I want to be like, guess what? I've got to. But I'm not going to. Not yet. Not yet. It's amazing though. But anyway, so just to cause more problems, get more content on YouTube. And it has already been broadcast on YouTube. Ma'am, this is injustice to the legal system and to me. And to me. It's harassment, it's abuse, and it's continuing. And the courts are allowing it. You are allowing these people to abuse me, use me, hurt me, and find me liable me. And take away my life is killing me physically to continue to lie and manipulate the judicial system. As I noted, this is official now. So in the official version that she has written, it says that it is killing me physically to continue to lie and manipulate the judicial system. That's what her words say. Oh my God, it's ruining me physically because I continue to lie and I continue to manipulate the judicial system. It's real. Yes, that is a real document, by the way. Oh man, there are almost 3,000. Thank you, folks. I appreciate you. Again, I set this up on the fly. I know I was late to the game today. I appreciate it. I had multiple doctor's appointments. It was a very long day, you know, very long day. But I mean, there was no terrible news or anything. But I've been I'm still trying to get answers to all this craziness. I have another doctor appointment on Black Friday. You know, I've got a test, a big one coming up then. But I thought I was going to not catch live stream today. So I appreciate all you folks showing up today. I need to laugh. So I appreciate it. But I'm asking for you to please put a stop to Mr. Shock. He's just now Mr. Shock now. Mr. Shock. Again, he's suing these people because of this kind of bullshit, though. I mean, again, you can understand why. Like, all jokes aside, if you think about this, they have tried to end his career. They have tried to bury him. And I mean, this is lunacy. By the way, this popped up on November the 14th. So this letter, now it just ended up on the docket, but this letter popped up on the 14th. Now you think about that, because the complaint that was drafted for Jeremy and Randy versus Bruce and LMNOP, I believe that popped up on the 10th. So that I believe that was the date on it. Again, if I'm off with my date, I believe that's the date that it pops up. So this pops up after that date. So even though they're being sued for this dumb shit, again, this is totally out of bounds. It's 100% out of bounds. If you guys, like when you look at something, if you think, is this something I can do or not? You tell me. Do you think it's appropriate to write the judicial assistant when you are representing yourself and to make these kind of comments? This is not a filing. This is not any kind of court business. This is them trying to approach the court and writing something about the other side. I mean, it's crazy. So she's saying, I'm asking for you to put a stop to Mr. Shock and Mr. Hales' lies and wrongful attempts to sue this court to their side. What? To sue this court to their side? What? What does that mean? You know, if anything, you guys, again, Lynette, Bruce wrote messages that are so out of bounds, that are so wrong, that they tried to bias the court. And what you're saying essentially here is that Mr. Shock and Mr. Hales, in filing and trying to do something and trying to get in motion, they tried to strike this stuff from the record too, which I'm going to bring that up as well in a minute. But she's turning around and being like, they're actually doing, what they're doing. Now, she says, I'm not a lawyer, of course, and I don't know how to do these things properly. That doesn't matter, Lynette. That absolutely does not matter. Here, I'm going to give you a bit of free advice. Now, I'm not a lawyer here, but I'm going to tell you this isn't the way to do it. Maybe you should ask Ray and Dave. They can tell you what AI to use. If you missed last night, by the way, as I pointed out, Ray has admitted that Dave referenced him, stupid Dave, referenced him a bunch of AI programs to utilize in the court. Now, again, you may be thinking, oh, well, that might be a good idea. Yeah, look up AI hallucinations. Look that up. What's been happening in courts over and over, lawyers, actual lawyers, people who know what they're doing, they're starting to have problems where AI just makes up court cases just out of nothing. And it is caused so many problems. You've seen people get decisions like, I think a $10,000 decision was handed down. So don't use AI unless you're them. I guess use AI if you want to, but what an idiot. But anyway, she's not a lawyer. It should have said, unlike Lisa, and I don't know how to do these things properly, but I will be petitioning again for a court-appointed attorney because this no longer is a little tiny case of no value. Wait a minute. It was so apparently when she first brought things on, it was just a little tiny case of no value. But after that, I guess it became something else. Now, we actually saw the last night. I guess we'll pull that up in a minute. We'll pull that up because that's kind of fun to check out. We have them petitioning, and some of their numbers are really wonky in this, by the way. So I will show you that. All right. Because they did. But it's funny. It's a little tiny case of no value, I suppose, when they were filing before. But this is a manipulated scheme on the part of Jeremy Hales to destroy me and my child and Mr. Cook for content on YouTube. What a claim. Again, she's riding the court out of bounds, trying to play I don't really know how to do this appropriately. But again, this is not appropriately. And she's making comments like, this guy is trying to destroy me and my child. Again, this right here, this stuff, this is evidence, by the way, Lynette. This is evidence that every chance you get, you prop your child up in something. And Jeremy Hales, he could put something like that. Again, you've opened the door so much. Imagine if she tried to fight back and say, well, this or this has come up with my kid. And okay, well, you've put up notes saying that terrible things were happening in your home. You've had your lawyer confirm that those things were real. So you've said that the guy in your home is an abuser. You told the cops that. I mean, there's just so much crazy. It's going to be an absolute shit show. I believe on her part that she thinks she's going to bring a lawsuit either for herself. They've talked about it for a long time, a long time. And I think she thinks that she's going to be able to go after Hales, for whatever. And they're going to try to use the kid's name, but it's going to be interesting to see her own words utilized in that court case. But anyway, this is so out of bounds. And I asked the court to please stop it before yet another person dies. So they're blaming him for the lawyer that died in a case that she brought, by the way. So this is so disgusting. I would fucking add this definitely to a lawsuit and be like, look, your lawyer, you sued me, because we've seen some of the communications behind the scenes and it didn't matter. Again, like when Larry tried to do what they asked, they sued him anyway. They made it clear that's what their plan was. They were never going to capitulate. It was like, no, they were planning. They were 100% planning. So you've got to stop it before another person dies or is physically injured for life because of what they continue to do is harassment and cyberbullying and now bullying through the court system. That is insane to write. I cannot believe. Not only did she write this, but I imagine that somebody told her what to write. I imagine that there was somebody on the other end of it helping her out. Who? Well, I don't know. You figure that one out. But yes, exactly. I actually think this is a good statement right here. So as Mike says, he notes that AI is a tool. Yes, it's not the solution. That's exactly right, by the way. AI is a lovely tool that can help you with all types of things, but AI is not a lawyer. AI doesn't replace the people. Again, there are huge lawsuits against companies like Google because their AI, their big brain for Gemini, has falsely accused people of terrible things. It just makes up articles. Hell, I looked up some stuff on a few people I know, and if you ask it the right question, it'll falsely accuse you too. It's wild. You may actually have a lawsuit as well against AI companies. You should go check it out. So with this, again, you can see the letters through this, by the way. You can see where, if you chase this back, because you had you have a chain of letters, and some of them are kind of fun because you can see certain things that are noted. Again, like when Randy writes in, you can actually see how some of that situates. Then you have Michelle Preston. When she just throws random shit in, she's like, she's replying to, again, if we're looking at this is again, you can see like, hey, this is how it normally is. Miss Thompson, good afternoon. Please see attached proposed order as instructive. We have also sent this through the portal. So, we have this, it's going into the docket, right? What Michelle Preston is doing is responding not through the docket. not through the portal, but she's been responding behind the scenes, which is crazy enough. But then you find out what Bruce was doing. But she was responding things. This is in October, right? She was writing, I wanted to reply to this. I am being e-served by Mr. Shugget for something I cannot open these documents. I do not feel it is a legal service since I do not have Pacer, so I don't know why he's enrolled me in this. I do not sign up for e-service. My service is supposed to be through the mail. Sincerely, Michelle Preston. Oh my God. Now, if you don't know what the lawsuit is happening, by the way, this is one heck of a lawsuit. It definitely is. It's definitely colorful. Let's just say it that way. Let me pull down a couple of documents real quick. Let's see. I'm going to pull down the ones we discussed so they don't get in the way. Now, we've actually, there's a complaint, right? And there's a motion. I'm making sure. Just give me 1 second. I'm making sure I get the right ones because I want to show you everything that belongs here. You had. Through this, you had 2 motions that really qualify with this. You had a motion to strike the unauthorized communications, which I'm not really going to review heavily, but I do want to show you, again, the Bruce stuff. Because if you think the Michelle Preston stuff is bad, the Bruce stuff is crazy. And then we'll look, again, at the Randy and Jeremy versus Lynette Preston and Bruce. And we're not talking lawyers again. This isn't them lawyered up. We're talking about as plaintiffs and defendants. So that's what you're seeing. So again, you saw there was a motion after all this stuff rolls in. There was a motion to strike unauthorized communication and for sanctions because Bruce had been writing to the court interfering. And when we saw, again, the legal argument, it's a good legal argument being like, well, what the heck is this out of state attorney who has not applied and is not pro hoc vice? What is he doing? What exactly is this about? He's writing emails, he's preparing legal documents, which she noted, by the way. What exactly does a lawyer do? He's preparing legal documents. He's making arguments to the court. So they're like, this is unauthorized practice of law, which you're going to have a lawsuit over. So let me roll down. Give me a second here. And I want to show you a few of these. Again, some of these are bad, in my opinion. They are very, very bad letters. I mean, he writes some crazy stuff. So check out a few of these. Again, just to, understand what the lawsuit is about, why we have Judge Graves stepping in, and why this is a problem. Why Bruce is being sued, because this is a big issue. So you have Bruce writing to the judicial assistant, to the court, again, for Judge Graves, and writing things like, sorry, here at first, we have a chain on this first one, right? So you can actually see the chain carry through. Let's see. So you see a discussion pop off. They're talking about is something being heard tomorrow? Is it a video conference hearing? You have a discussion here. Kindly provide the case number so I can reference it accordingly. So here's the case. Bankruptcy stuff. Then the judicial assistant is like, yeah, that's not in front of Judge Graves. Like, why are you mentioning this to me? And then Bruce is like, sorry, I thought you understood the subject reference to the bankruptcy reinstatement motion that is being heard tomorrow. Because if Miss Preston's bankruptcy is reinstated, all the proceedings before Judge Graves would be stayed. Mr. Hale and Mr. Shockett know this, and so are pressing all of these matters in a short period while bankruptcy stay has been lifted pending the reinstatement. They are doing so merely so Mr. Hales can make YouTube content from all the filings and default and deposition notices. They know There is no point to any of the bankruptcies reinstated, but exploit every possible chance to file something. Unfortunately, Granger v. Preston case, they got you to enter a default, even though Ms. Preston had already filed her responsive answers and counterclaims. This caused yet more file. By the way, somebody did a really good response about this too. You know who I really like, by the way? I don't know if all of you catch her, but again, I'm noting Melissa. You know, Melissa does very, very good postings. She posts quite a bit on Facebook, you know, and when she posts, again, she posts in specific groups. And when she does, she is very organized in her postings. Again, a lot of the stuff that she posts, if you look at it, you'll be like, wow, that explains things. That makes things make a lot of sense. You know, so you should keep up with her, you know, but let me see real quick. Let me see if I can find this real fast. She posted a timeline on how those answers and counterclaims, how all of that, how that really did work. And let me tell you that when you look at what, yeah, here it is. All right. So again, Melissa does, I think, great stuff with this. So here, let me show you this real fast. This is on, since they brought it up in their motion, I think this is important. All right. So here's a timeline. Again, Melissa noted, here's a wonderful group to check out, by the way, Otter Creek, Florida, and the Shady Bunch. There are a lot of members, but it is good. And again, if you have not gone there, check it out. And Melissa, again, props to Melissa. You know, she, but there are many of you out there, and I don't mean to leave you out when I talk about stuff. Some of you I leave out because you do get a bullseye put on you by these crazies, you know, sometimes. But many of you do great work. But Melissa, again, I'm referring straight to it. And she is, oh God, she's so good with dates. Like that's one of the things, you know, I can remember certain things, but I feel like, especially after all these weird problems health-wise, I feel like some of the dates just went up. You know, it's messed with my memory a little bit. It still works decently well, but it's not what the steel trap it used to be. So people like Melissa and many others out there, I appreciate you all. But yes, this group is very useful. Very good. So for the Granger case, LP was found in default September 10th, 2025. The judge told Randy to write up the order. Now, LP wrote her answers and counterclaims on the 15th, which were due, by the way, on August the 29th. So, well, she was a little late on that. Now, the order of default that was signed by the judge on the 20th of September, LP put in motion of default for the counterclaim October 13th. LP amended her answers and counterclaims October the 20th. Now, LP was charged for the filing claim, given 10 days to pay. That would be around October. She never paid. So she never put in, she never paid when she filed that. She was supposed to drop a little cheddar in the bucket too. Didn't pay what the court was like, hey, you got to pay this now. Now, in November the 14th, 2025, LP puts in her indigence request approval, which we saw 5 days after the payment was due. So the payment's already been due. 5 days after this is already, it was supposed to be due. Then she puts in her indigence report. Now, what'll happen with that? Don't know. But still, that gives you an idea of how this, when they talk about, now, why is that important? Because they keep talking about, well, she did this, she did that. Yeah, she didn't do this, any of it in a timely fashion. You know, that's one of the things that is earmarked. Anything certain people in the ecosystem have been attached to, it is never timely. Now, again, we've seen the indigence report. Now, what's interesting about this? We talked about this last night, too. I am very curious about people's thoughts on this. If you have an answer to it, write me and tell me how this works. Because in the bankruptcy, Lynette Preston said that the real estate here, the homestead real estate, was worth $50,000. Here, however, on the indigence report, it's only worth $39,186. Now, she reports in the bankruptcy that her portion of it is worth $25,000. But in the indigence portion here, she reports that it is only worth $19,593. So, make that make sense. Make it make sense. She also, in this report, can't help but put in a statement saying that she was building a home, but it had to be caused due to a stalker and all these cases. So she can't help herself. Even when she's looking at yet another lawsuit, she still has to take that shot. That is one of the dumbest things imaginable. But she has to do it. She can't stop herself. She just can't stop herself. So I'm just saying there, I am just saying, what a bunch of weirdos, man. What a bunch of weirdos. Like I said, tomorrow, I'm sure some other people will talk about it as well, which is great. But tomorrow too, the whole thing going after Silverman, Preston, discussing more stuff there. Yeah, we'll talk about that too tomorrow because it's going to fit in because they keep talking about cases. But again, anybody that has ever made contact with these people, they end up in the shit. They do, all of it. Excuse my language on that, but they do. They all end up treated like garbage. So let's continue with these letters. I just wanted to point that out to you again. Why would I note all that? Because again, they keep saying the answers and counterclaims thing, but they don't. There are deadlines with things. I realize, Bruce, that you would file shit like in Fed 1, you would notice it would be due, and then days later, after the due date, we would have some weird filing asking for something else. And Belitho would allow that, weirdly enough. Like other judges, they should have stomped that behavior out, but they allowed it. And maybe that sets a precedent for some people. I'm not sure. Maybe they think that that's supposed to be normal. That's not supposed to be there. But anyway, he puts this in. Again, this sounds like a lawyer arguing, right? These are the kind of things you file. You don't argue. Okay. Well, there's other emails. They're even worse. This stuff gets even worse. And you'll notice, too, in here, like there's a lot of items that get written. So you can see this was the letter we just read, and then there's another item here. So he writes in as well from Bruce. The bankruptcy is being reinstated, and thus the two cases involving Miss Preston will again be automatically stayed. I note that Mr. Shockett proposed order denying the MPO far exceeds what was asked for, a simple denied order, and asked for sanctions on the false basis that Miss Preston, quote, completely failed to appear at depot. See paragraph 10. Again, he's making legal argument. Look at this. This is him. How is this not him playing lawyer? He's writing her pleadings. He's helping her with a case. He's arguing shit to the court. How is he not acting as an attorney for her? He's just not going to the court in the appropriate ways. But behind the scenes, he's trying to argue this in such a snaky way. But Mr. Shockett, knowing she would not be appearing, convened just so A, Hales can make YouTube content, and B, he could file his motion for sanctions based on the false basis she had, quote unquote, completely failed to appear, when her pending MPO meant she could await a ruling. Mr. Shockett continues to abuse this court for the sake of his client's YouTube content. Again, they keep attacking Shockett. They keep attacking Hales. They're not doing anything in court. This is totally jacked up. And on top of it, again, he's making arguments about Shockett's behavior when first of all, this is garbage. Again, if you file something less than a day before something's supposed to happen, somebody's supposed to come in and give depo, The judge has not seen or ruled on it. And you're just like, I'm going to cancel. How is that supposed to work? He absolutely is not at fault there. What's really crazy is that Lynette Preston, with John Cook, they admitted that the doctor appointment they were talking about that day, by the way, it had been scheduled for months. So they didn't give any notice until nobody could rule on it. They could have asked for a different day or different times or whatever, but they didn't. They didn't do it correctly, and they knew it. That sounds like it is done intentionally. Now this stuff gets crazier because you have on the 7th, you have here, look what he's writing here. Miss Polk, Miss Thompson, Judge Grant asked for an order denying the MPO, not awarding sanctions or making any findings of fact underlying such award. Nevertheless, Mr. Shockett added sanctions to the order as well as findings, although this was not what the judge asked for. Nevertheless, it was ordered without any discussion. In essence, the court granted a motion for sanctions without the opportunity for Ms. Preston to even respond and no hearing. I suspect it didn't even realize it because Shockett slipped it in. When a party files an MPO, they have not, quote unquote, completely failed to appear for deposition. Rather, they notified via the MPO that they would not be appearing. Despite this, you know what I think? I think, Bruce, here's a question, Bruce. Did you tell her to do that? Did you tell her to wait to the last possible effing minute and say, it's all going to be fine? You don't have to listen. Nothing's going to hit you. Is that why you're so adamant about this now? Because this was your move? I really wonder, is that his move? Now, despite this, Mr. Shockett chose to incur the cost of the court reporter instead of canceling it so he could file a motion for sanctions. Your office continues to play into every scheme they perpetuate to make YouTube content out of these court filings. Your office entered a default in Granger versus Preston after and despite she filed an answer. Now you make Miss Preston have to file more motions to address the sanctions that have been ordered because Shockett, rather not Mr. Shockett, included this despite A, it not being what the judge asked for, and B, the sanctions are based on the falsity that she failed to appear with no notice to enable them to avoid incurring the cost of the reporter. Remember, again, he's making these statements here, all of this stuff to the judge. He's making this to the freaking judge that has now been asked to be part of this. So you see this. He also had been writing before this too. So you see, there was another email that was attached even before this time stating, oh, look, they sent in all that. Look, these are the links here, YouTube-wise, that show before what happened when they got to do a depo. Now, they want a new Zoom depo content to broadcast on YouTube to mock and humiliate her and to entertain Hales viewers with his own profit. He and Shockett are abusing the court. They are ruining this woman's life, and nobody there seems to lift a finger except to enter incorrect default orders after she filed an answer. In the other case, Granger versus Preston, giving Hales content, we won in court and forcing her to expend more time and stress to deal with the court's mistake. Please also, look, please read the attack. He must have lied to get his Florida license. So they attack his license. They try to get him disbarred. Isn't that wild? Isn't that wild? Here, it gets even crazier. Miss Thompson. Once again, I alert you to the error in the entry of default. The order for default entered September 20th is based on the following finding. 7. The court further finds that despite proper notice, defendant has failed to file or service any responsive pleading or otherwise defend this action. Obviously, this is incorrect, again, because docket shows answers the defenses and counterclaims filed September 15th. Did Mr. Shockett draft that order as well? If so, he purposely included this false finding for the judge's signature. If not, then he is free of blame in this instance, unlike in the other matter in which he machinated a sanctions order based on falsely including in the order that Miss Preston completely failed to appear. And again, it's based again. So you see how many times he's tried to argue this. Instead, he's not making filings. He's not putting any type of research in. He's skipping to the head of the class, as it were, and trying to poison the well with the judge. You see why this is a problem, right? I mean, you all understand why. If this were, if Shockett was doing this, do you think they'd have a problem with it? Absolutely. They'd all be throwing fits, you know? It's extremely upsetting that even after filing her pleading, Miss Preston must still deal with the consequences of the entry. And if she has not filed her pleading prior to default being entered, she diligently filed a motion to set aside September 25th, yet the default has still not been set aside. Every day it remains equals more stress for her, more YouTube content for Hales. When will this default be removed? Again, then you see he attached all of these filings to all of this, answers, counterclaims. He attaches all this trash to it as well. Again, he is acting as a lawyer without being able to practice. So that's how you end up with this wonderful lawsuit. If you're wondering, again, why does all of this matter? Because it ends up with this. We end up with Jeremy Hales and Randy Shockett. They're plaintiffs. Like I said, that's not lawyer and client. That is plaintiff and plaintiff versus Bruce and Element OP. Now, this is an amazing filing, too. It is. It's an absolute amazing filing. This, you go through it, you read what's in here, what they talk about. And they talk about some absolute insanity with Bruce. Again, like some of the things that Bruce has been involved in, that he knows. He knows how this stuff works too. Remember, he has been pro op VJ before in Florida. He knows the correct way to do this, but he didn't care to. So as you go through this, again, you have 21 pages that talk about all of the stuff that he has done, the disparaging, clownsel. How he keeps going after Randy, all of this other insanity. He has tried to destroy Jeremy Hales, and he has tried to destroy Randy Shockett along with it. And that's what he's writing out. He's pointing out that he's not only tried doing this stuff, but he went behind the scenes and tried to cause problems. Look, this is interesting too. You see, like defendant Manskin solicited funds through a PayPal pool entitled Ohio Lawyer Retainer Fund to hire an attorney in Ohio for a client with the description, quote, "This is to raise money to hire a lawyer in Ohio to finally get that PO thrown out, including the contempts. The fundraisers show, quote, $200 received out of $6K. Huh. So they talk about all the things he's been in, all of the stuff that he's been doing for a while, and how, again, he's not just sitting on the sidelines and helping out. He is, again, going after someone's business, after their relationships. He's making up crap to try to do harm and more. And again, it's kind of interesting to read through. We will probably, as this rolls forward, we will review all of that again. But for today, I just wanted to catch you up on everything. I think most of you have probably, again, it would take us forever to read 21 pages. So we are not going to read all of that today. But we have seen it before. So again, you can refer back to it. But we'll do a clean read through one day, where I like to do those too. I love going through, like myself and Megan, we talk, we derail, we have a good time. But I like to do, as we roll forward, I like to do a cleaner read through too. That way we can talk about everything that's here. But this is, like I said, it's an interesting filing in that you have not just Hales involved, but you have Randy involved. You have Bruce involved and LMNOP involved. And on top of that, you have the Judge Grave, the same court that Bruce was writing all of this insanity to. I think they know there's a problem with this. I think they absolutely do. I mean, that's pretty messed up. Again, the ecosystem would definitely know there's a problem there too, if Randy would have done something like this. You know, they would all admit 100% that it was something that needed to be addressed and addressed now. But that's only if. Now, again, right now, now again, tomorrow, we will be going over this attempt. I'm sure other people will talk about it, like I said, but I'm going to dig down into it. I don't feel like we're ready for that. Again, I don't think anybody, I'm not saying this with anybody either. I think sometimes, like tonight, we could be first to go over something, but I don't feel like the story's complete on it. I think there's some things I need to find out and to reference, you know, and like I said, I really feel that this is part of them going after Silverman. I think this is an orchestrated attempt. They have been, you know, you've seen, again, Bruce talking about this repeatedly. So I want to talk about that tomorrow. Also, interestingly, there's some discussion about some lib stuff that I think needs a little bit of clarity too. I saw that, by the way, Max Lab and others as well. And I'm going to dig down into it and see exactly what we can do with that. But I think this is a pretty good place to, oh my goodness, let me stretch. Oh, sorry. I've been in a car all day. So I'm like, oh my God. Hey, good, Bunsen. I appreciate it. Bunsen rocking stone. I see that. Bunsen wrote about if you have like a Christmas theme, like he had a Santa picture that he was like, hey, we could turn that into a Muppet. That's easy, you know. Now, if it's a picture of yourself doing something that's really easily identified as an individual, AI doesn't like to change that over. You know, if you have something where like you're dressed up like a freaking Santa or a reindeer or whatever, we could probably pop that into Muppetville pretty easy, you know. I don't know. Again, I think I got everybody's Muppet request. If I missed you, let me know, okay? Because I mean, you got to remember, I get a bunch of emails, so I don't intentionally skip any of you. I get so many, and I spend so much time like trying to get them all situated. Good Lord, look at this insanity. So yesterday, and I take that back. I had not yesterday, a week ago rather. The ecosystem's quote unquote jokalists. I think that title, you know, that was something that was brought up before. I think that really works still. First, they go after Judge Grave. They did. They absolutely did. By the way, check this out. I think this does link into what we're discussing. Let's look at this real fast. So last week, they decided, hey, guess what? We're going to target Judge Grave, you know, and they're doing this with a certain person that brought them in that doesn't seem to like him right now. Isn't that fascinating? I love looking at this stuff and wondering, you know, how stupid can these people get? And apparently the answer is, well, worse than whatever. If you think there's a line for these folks that they're going to wake up and figure out maybe this is too far to go. No, absolutely not. I mean, you can see them. Oh, the Florida judge is too lazy to write his own orders. Clerks can't check dockets. Lawyers make foolish mistakes. Oh my God. So dumb, man. So dumb. They keep trying to, what's fascinating too? They say that the signs that were found, that they are false accusations, by the way. So that's nice to know, at least. They're saying that Hales is, he's not an arpist or anything else. That's at least decent, right? That's one thing. I'm not accusing them of decency, by the way. But at least, if anything is taken out of those things, that's one thing. But I mean, again, they decide to target freaking Judge Gray. And now they've decided, Ken, Michelle Preston is probably sitting there talking to these idiots, thinking that this is a smart way to play too. She's probably like, yeah, you know what? Going after Silverman. I wonder, are any of these people in your ear telling you that it's a good idea to accuse your prior counsel? Do you actually think that you're going to be able to sue him and to do harm? Is that what you guys are thinking? Because again, I have seen Bruce float that idea multiple times. I've seen it, that you all were going to do that. And it blows my mind, because you know what that says, Michelle? No other lawyer, aside from the jackasses that have joined up with you, no other lawyer will ever want to touch you as a client, because this is what happened. When Silverman gets attached to it, look what happened to him. When Sean got attached, look at them. They wrote hit pieces and more. They tried to bury his reputation too. Again, why would any lawyer? They say it's Hales is the reason that no lawyer wants to get attached to this stuff. I think the reality is, Hales is a pretty big bullseye. There are many lawyers that would salivate over, if they thought there was a good case, they would. They would absolutely, they'd be like, money, because they could see huge payday on the other side of it. Lawyers love a good payday if they think it's there. The thing that they don't like, however, if all these lawyers are turning it down, I think maybe they need to look less at Hales and maybe look more at themselves. Maybe, Lynette, you need to ask, when no lawyer wants anything to do with you anymore, is it the lawyer's fault? Or is it maybe you and your counsel here? Maybe, them telling you that it's a good idea to attack these folks. Maybe that's not a smart idea. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it's a good idea. Maybe you should sue. Maybe that's what they deserve, right? Now, Laura asked you a question. You'll notice that names have been popping up with our ats that are attached. Is there any way that we can turn them back to the way they were? I don't know yet, but this is a brand new thing that YouTube has caused. I don't know why it's popping up like that. It's just a new feature, it's probably an unintended consequence of something they did. I'll see if there's anything that I can switch on or off that has been added where it would change names back, because just like myself, my at is not how I identify myself. My name is how I identify myself, not the at that I chose at first. Although you realize too that when you set up your account, you can change your at one time. So if you decide that you want to make it reference a little bit better, you can make it appear. But I understand there. I'll see about that, Laura. I don't know how that even happened. So, it's a good question. I don't have an answer to it. I hope so. I really do. Because again, it is a mess. Fallen Hero. Hey, thank you, man. Again, appreciate the gifted membership. Appreciate you being here too. Like I said, today, oh God, I'm just glad to have a good live stream and be able to decompress after a very long day. Again, it has been a very long day of doctor appointments. It wasn't a bad day. I didn't have bad news or anything like that, but it was just, if you're dealing with doctors on the day, it is a very long day, right? So I'm glad to be done with that. But thank you, Fallen Hero. I appreciate you. And as always, appreciate you being here too, man. Thank you. Max Lab, thanks for the 2. I saw the email. Yeah, I think that's an interesting developing story. I think there's I'm going to see what I can find out about that. You know, I want to see what more I can find out about it. I'm going to write over and see. I think we may have some interesting details on on lips and on some stuff happening in that arena. But we'll stay tuned on that. Yeah. And thank you, Max Lab. And thanks again for everything you do too. And I hope people do check your channel out. I hope they check out again, helping your channel. It's beautiful when people can get together, help out with those watch hours. You know, and I'm glad you got the subs already. Man, you are climbing. You're climbing for it. So props to you, brother. Hey, what's up, Jane? Thanks for the fun there. Candy money for the kiddos. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, actually, you know what was funny today is the littlest one. So she likes, I don't know if anybody has seen it, but on Netflix, their biggest show ever they've ever had now is a show called K-Pop Demon Hunter. It is massive. I mean, it is a massive show. And the little one, you know, she and all these other kids, man, they all love that freaking show. So anyway, I took her over to, she went with doctors and everything. And then I had to go pick up some meds today. And when I did, I went by Murfreesboro. And in Murfreesboro, you know, I take them to a few places. We were a little constrained today. We didn't have as much time, but we had some time. So I took them over to Murfreesboro, and she wanted to look for shirts. So I found her a K-Pop Demon Hunter shirt. That was, oh my gosh. She has been over the moon in that. It's funny. She wanted today. She knows. She actually knew what Black Friday was. I thought that was funny. She saw all the signs for it. She knew exactly what it was. She remembered it from last year. But she asked for 2 things on the year. She asked for a bigger TV, which I think that's the way I'm going to go for her. And she asked for a little mini refrigerator, which looks like that's gonna happen. You know, there's been a couple other things we've noticed along the way. She loves that Coraline. So there's a store down here that has these huge Coraline stuffies. I can't believe what stuffies cost, by the way. They have this huge one that's like half her size. I mean, it's humongous, but it's like $72. Good Lord, you know, 72 freaking bucks. So, ugh. She was like, "Oh, Christmas." I'm like, I don't know about that. $72. Allie, thanks for the day. But anyway, I rambled. That was good. Thank you for the candy money too. I was saying, aside from candy, she had her mind on some other things today. It was crazy. So thank you. I think we went with shirt money. Yeah. Allie, thanks for the day. Would they prefer the Dumbass Collective? I think that's a pretty good name for them because they are. They are a bunch of morons. They really are. I mean, anti-Hales. I call them all anti-Hales because that's really what they are. Again, they pretended sometimes to be other things like pro Preston, but they dropped that facade when all the money dried up. Once they built 6 figures out of the woman and her name and her kid's name, you notice they weren't pro Preston anymore. They were always when they were playing pro Preston, they were still always anti-Hales. You notice Hales can never do anything right. See, this is the thing. Like, I can admit sometimes when they're fighting and stuff, like I said, I can admit, for example, with when 2L screwed over Preston. Preston's in the right with that. You know, if you were anti-Preston, if that was she would never be right. You know, that would be the thing. Like with Hales, he can never be right with them. That's why they're anti-Hales. He never does anything in their eyes that is correct. It doesn't matter. And they always have an excuse for every pitiful, horrible thing that is done to that man, because they're oftentimes the people that are doing them. You know, but even if they're not, they always excuse our horrible behavior. Because they are anti. Again, that's all they are. So yeah, I think the Dumbass Collective works too. Rob, thank you too. Max Live sent it. Yes, I did check that out. And thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate you noting that as well. You know, if I don't notice a message, I appreciate you folks locking in and being like, yo, Tug, did you see this? Let's see. I have my favorites. What's up? How you doing? Breadstick money. Thank you for the 5 there and the breadsticks. That is much appreciated. I like I said, I appreciate you all too. You know, you all have allowed me to do something that's a lot of fun. I like covering cases. I like looking at these idiots. I like putting them under a microscope. This has been it's been fascinating endeavor, because we've gotten to deep dive these folks. We don't, you know, we're not encumbered by some limitation where you're like, oh, well, you have to stop with that. As long as we follow, you know, guidelines, we can go as deep diving as we want. Although, interestingly, like I said, they don't seem, so there's a certain person they keep saying they don't have a felony. It just looks like a felony, right? Well, Shizzy again. Shizzy did a really good deep dive on that. Yeah. And they, guess what? They tried to strike it. Like I said, Shizzy going to drop a bomb on that, I'm sure. But they tried. They really tried to cause him a problem there. So that's what they do. They say, oh, well, prove it. If somebody has problems, prove this stuff about them. And then if you try to prove it, they're like, oh, we got to strike that real fast, because that doesn't look good for us. That's who these people are. And again, there was a thing talking about Bruce and some of the clown things that he's done. They tried to take something down about him too. It's just wild. Sticky, what's up, man? It's good to see you, Sticky. Thank you for the 5 giftos. Appreciate that. Great. Love they were dropped into. Thank you, my friend. What's up, man? Thank you, my friend, Maestro. I'll actually start calling you Maestro. I like that, actually, to be honest. Thank you for the 2 there. I wish a grudge judge to Thomas's could be sued. Yeah, you know, suing a judge is beyond difficult. You think police have immunity? You know, when you look at police, it is very difficult in their wrongdoing to sue them and win. Judges, even more so. It's almost impossible. And yes, I wish you could do that, but hey, how's it going there? I guess it's going with Anne. I wish, like I said, I wish I could see everybody's name, because sometimes even I'll know the picture and I'll like, I know the right name, but it just doesn't come to me right. I hate that, like I said, they have clouded this and made it kind of a mess. But thank you. Hello, Tuck. Hello there. Hello, return. Appreciate it. What's up? Maybe not. How you doing today? Maybe not. I hope your day has been fantastic, by the way. Appreciate that. Appreciate the entertainment too. And the giftos. I always love the giftos. The giftos, they are the greatest thing that is attached to a channel, because they give to other people. So thank you. Kermit Lips. I love that freaking avatar every time I see it. It makes me laugh. I do. I love your avatar. So thank you there. Appreciate the 8. Thank you. BBB. Not lullering, yet he ghost writes. Make it make sense. Yeah, indeed. What does that mean? You know, and again, he's not advising. Her own words is he's ghostwriting. So he's writing that. He's writing the courts. He's arguing the case. He's trying to make legal conclusions. He's trying to get the court to respond specific ways. He hasn't changed anything he's doing, except when he's writing in, he's not actually backing anything up. He's not putting in any kind of case precedent. That's pretty. It's pretty disgusting when you think about it, because skipping to the head of the line like he tries to do allows him not to argue things in the way that you're supposed to. You're supposed to sit down. You're supposed to say, this right here, this law or this ruling, whatever, this says X, Y, and Z, and therefore. Well, that's not what he's doing. If you look at his letters, he's circumventing that. So not only is he not doing the one thing as a lawyer he's acting as a lawyer in his arguments, but he's leaving out the material facts. He's trying to poison the well. And it's crazy, because it makes you wonder how many other courts this has happened at. And I'm not saying Bruce himself is written, but how many of these other clowns have? Because that Volpe and that paint chips have attempted this kind of stuff. That they have. You've seen them try that, but nothing has been turned over. So it does make you wonder. It makes you wonder about the courts too. But yeah, what are they doing? That's a good question. Now, again, I like this. Again, Vet Nation, appreciate you, my friend. It's so funny too. I want to know something. This has nothing to do with a specific person, but I get it. It's funny. I try to get along with everybody, right? And sometimes I've noticed some people, I'll get a letter from somebody who doesn't like one person, or another person. And they're like, I can't believe you like this person. Well, what's good? Liking everybody. And, I've gotten that about like a Vet Nation before, or, like a Max Lab or whomever. And I'm like, look, I don't know, like whatever drama is kicking off between people. No, nor do I want to know. I want to like all of you, because I look at like what we're doing is more important than any disagreement. And this has nothing to do with the statement here. I'm just noting this. We currently have a huge, I think, point to make. When you look at the cases that have been laid out, what the ecosystem they have been doing, I think it is imperative that they hear about this and they understand it. They understand that each one of these clowns, they are X or they are Y or they are Z, So for me, I appreciate all of you that are involved in finding fact and just laying these people to bear. It's amazing too. I noticed how good some of you are at finding like things that I can like if I'm good at something, I may be deficient in another part. And some of you are amazing at that stuff. And again, I appreciate you all on that. Some of you find things that I would never find on my own. So thank you, all of us together. We have uncovered some insanity. And I think we're going to see a long slog through this. There should, at the end of it, be a bright point, but it's going to take a minute. There's still a lot more of this insanity to go. That's a sad statement, but it's a true statement. But anyway, appreciate you. And like Mike says too, with AI, it's a tool, not a solution. Remember that, like I said, last night, I was showing you that, let me see, I've got this pulled up here. Give me 1 second. I can show you what I was talking about. We found out from, who was it? Let's see. We found out from Ray that a few of them are using AI. And when they're using AI, just to make this clear, they're they're using it instead of lawyers. You have Ray thinking that he doesn't need a lawyer because they have AI. Like, to me, that's insane. Like, imagine that. Imagine coming forward and telling the world, well, I would get a lawyer, but this program, it does a much better job for me than a lawyer might do. Like, that's insane to me. So check this stuff out. I think this is crazy. I want to show this to you again. If you missed it yesterday, even if you haven't, like, this is just nuts. So you have him, he's talking about, this is Ray talking about Stupid Dave. He's not a lawyer, but he's coming up with stuff. Oh man, I put a couple of programs on my computer so that I could come up with some of the things that Dave has. And I can scrutinize what has been going on in a court case if I really want to. It's not free. You've got to pay for it, but it's cheaper than a lawyer. So again, Ray thinks that AI is better than picking up a lawyer. And yes, it may be cheaper than picking up a lawyer, but it is not. Now, you may be saying, well, why would you tell these people that? Well, because it is a damn shame that I personally think that Hales, again, I don't know where Fed 2 goes. But I think that with so many of these people, that Hales has enough evidence on them that he doesn't need any kind of a ridiculous way of winning. No, win it on the up. Don't have these morons dig a hole with AI and just muddy the water. They've already made it, like, the ecosystem has created a clown show, and they're proud of their clown show. They are. They wallow in it, and I kind of hate it, because at the end of the day, their clown show, it takes away also from the fact that, when you look at what they've done, like, their stupidity almost overwhelms the actions that they've done. As crazy as that is to say, when we're looking at how dumb they are in the aftermath of it, sometimes you forget why they're getting sued. It's wild, right? But anyway, it's like, it's cheaper than a lawyer. Thank you. It's AI system, and it's pretty good. You can type a letter out and have it correct everything for you. You can type it out as if you're submitting it to a judge, and it'll do that for you. What I'm telling you is that there are a lot of ways to tackle this problem. And the best, I think, with somebody that's established, that's what my logic tells me. Oh my God. Somebody have been through the same thing, if you can, but there's very few that are brave enough to stand up, especially in this situation. I have all the lawyers. They're out there, and everybody's, that one wasn't any good. They left. They're gone. That one's passed away. This one's hiding. This one's in the bushes. Well, what in the fuck? He's so crazy, man. He just starts rambling about how those lawyers are buried or freaking hiding in the bushes. Oh my God. Yes, very, very, very articulate, Ray. Love that argument. But yes, they're using AI tools. It is majestic. You have to admit. What's up, Puzzle Puzzler? Thank you for those 5 gifted memberships, by the way. Thank you, Puzzle Puzzler. I appreciate you too. I appreciate the name too. Like I said, I like your I like your perpetually Puzzle Puzzler as well. I like that. I like that name too. That works out very well. I like entertaining names. Many of you have regular, like, very good one. And thank you for that. Again, giftos are great. They do so much. When I look at this, I think, no, I like Monstro, man. I like it right now. So thank you for the tip there. LP is digging yourself deeper and deeper into yes, a very, very deep hole. It's a very, it's something, it's much deeper. Like we talk about hot plate math. Maybe we should go depths, like how far they're going in blue buckets. I think she's about 100 blue buckets down, and she just keeps digging deeper. And it's bad for her. Like I said, she thinks we're all the enemy. Because if you don't believe her, you're the enemy. You know? Somehow, that makes you the enemy. And that's okay. But I feel, like I said, I think the people that are supposed to be advising and helping her out, they have done her a large disservice. And at the end of this, too, Bruce, you know she's going to try to sue you, right? Like if she's talking about these other people, you know when certain things go wrong, she's going to try to sue you too. I mean, you do know that, right, guy? I mean, it's just, you're definitely going to be disparaged because the other lawyers were. Won't make you any different. You've already been disparaged by the other cast within the ecosystem. Again, they said that you don't have time for them. You got them into this mess. You told them that they wouldn't get sued. I think the way, in fact, this is crazy for me to say, but I think you were wrong by 2L. I really do. I think you did her, regardless of what I think about you, I think you did her a huge service. You built her platform. You did. Out of anybody, you built that platform for them, and they treated you like trash, and they want to kick you to the curb. And it's really it's fascinating to me because they're like, you abandoned. Well, they abandoned you too. It looks like so fun times. I love how you guys. I know you don't forgive either, Bruce. I'm curious how you're going to deal with that. I've seen how you react to stuff. I just don't think you'll forgive that. But what are you going to do? I mean, she called out your manhood too. She called you out and said, basically, you abandon people and you lie. It's fascinating stuff. And that you bilked people because she said that the $6,000 was your fault. Not her. She didn't have anything to do with it. Which, when you say that, that makes it look like you did something very wrong. So, yeah, there's the Bunsen, by the way. notice the lovely Santa. Again, that was fun. Like I said, if people have like a festive picture, again, if it's too individuated, I don't know what I'm not sure I can do much for you. But if you look at like with this picture, if you're dressed up like Santa or something, that could be a real person. Whatever, I could turn that into a Muppet for you real easy. So I like it. And thanks. Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate you, Buns, for sure. You're around all the time too, man. I like your name. So, Travis, what's up, Travis? How you doing, brother? Thank you for the 2 there. Messed up neck again. So glad you're on tonight. Well, thank you, first of all. Appreciate it, man. And you need to take it easy, brother. You do. That's one thing. Like, you've got to rest. And I know that's hard advice. I find myself, I'll give myself the same advice, and be like, I'm not supposed to be doing things. And I do it anyway. But you definitely, if you're going to get any better, man, you're going to have to rest. You're going to have to chillax and do nothing for a hot minute. That's really hard to do, by the way. For active people, it is. But you probably will have to do that. But I appreciate you, man. And thank you. Yeah, I'm glad I got to be on tonight. I was, like I said, I didn't think I was going to be, but I ended up right at the last minute. I got in. I caught, I was supposed to be in faster, but I caught Murfreesboro. Murfreesboro, it's like a mini Nashville. If you've never been to Tennessee, Nashville, is, of course, it's pretty big. It's pretty known. But Murfreesboro, which is about 45 minutes outside of Nashville, it is growing and quickly. It's funny, when I was a kid, that place was pretty much a giant cow pasture. And now it's one of the most expensive real estate areas in Tennessee. So it's wild. LaWanda, thanks for the vibe. Hey, LaWanda, how you doing? Today would have been my husband and my 45th wedding anniversary. Day would have been that. From the words there, would have been. You know, that's I'm sorry. You know, that sounds like, again, the would have been. You know, at moments like that, I don't know how long anything. Again, if you find yourself with a day, if you find yourself on holidays or days that memorialize something, then you remember you got friends around. If anything's crazy too, I mean, if you're having just an insane day, like, people can write. I can't say every day I'm not around. I got kids, so, but I try to write people back. But I appreciate you. You know, Georgie, thanks for the 5. Hey, Totals World. You should totally check your email from Max. I saw that. I did. I'm going back to the source. I'm trying to see if I can find more about it. You know, I do like that. Like I said, that's going to be a fun subject. It is. I'm going back to the source on that. And thank you. What's up, Richard? Thanks for the 5 there. BBB is forced to attend Fed 1 or 2. Can Bolitho hit him up with outstanding sanctions or hold him until he pays up? That would make my day. Well, he can hit him with sanctions. They've never made a decision yet. So they can't hit him. Just a second, I got to clear my throat. Yeah, but sorry about that. Yeah, he's still able to hit him whenever with sanctions. They've never made a decision, and that should happen. I'm not saying, again, I have very little faith in anything, but that should be happening. We should see a decision. I'm not saying it will, but it should. Because, again, you know, Bruce didn't show up. Bruce decided he could just set out a hearing. He could just skip out. He could ask for the judge to be removed. He could delay the court in any way that he wants. And there's been nothing done about it yet. So we'll see what happens. But, yeah, now, as far as holding, I don't think they'll go anywhere that far. If they were going to do something to him before, now they could have. They could, again. Bruce was afraid. You know, he's suing. He's suing over the fact that he said something about being jailed. You remember that when he talked about his fear of being jailed? He's now suing Larry, if you've read over that, for essentially repeating some of the stuff he said, talking about, you know, again, he said he was afraid of being jailed. So a lot of people brought it up. Hey, you know, him being jailed. Like, for me, I made a video because I made a video of his own statements where he's talking about his fear of being jailed. I said I personally did not think he would be jailed, but he did. He thought he would be. He made it very clear. But apparently, yeah, at one time, that was a possibility. Now, we've since learned that, I mean, Bolitho's been pretty soft so far. Now, could he step it up? Maybe. Will he? I don't know. But he should be sanctioned. Again, that's the one thing I can say with certainty. He did not show up. He was supposed to be sanctioned to begin with. He didn't show up. And if that gets you out of sanctions, if defying a court order gets you out of a sanction or gets you out of trouble with Bolitho, that he's afraid of a precedent being a meanie judge. Well, that will set another precedent. So we'll see. You know, we will see. But if he doesn't do something, that in and of itself it sets, like I said, a very dangerous precedent, because other people will look at it and say, you know, this guy, he's not going to do anything. In fact, if he doesn't do anything, I always wonder, if he doesn't do anything to one person, couldn't you point back to it and be like, well, what about this case? You didn't do anything in this case, so why are you singling me out? And why are you treating me like garbage if you don't like me, but you didn't do anything to this guy? So anyway, we'll see how it plays. I wonder. What's up, Angela Gwen? What's up? How you doing? Thanks for the 10. My dad was an actual clown in the circus. I cosplay Harley Quinn, and these people ruin my family's legacy horse. Yes. That's hilarious. You know what's crazy is clowns. I remember growing up, and clowns weren't so seen as crazy or creepy. Now you've got Pennywise that has pretty much messed up the legacy of or the image rather of clowns. Yeah, I think these people do mess up the legacy of it for sure. But it is interesting how the imagery of the clown changed. That's interesting though. I think that's cool. That is very cool. Busy horse, thanks for the 19 months in a house full of family. You make this lonely granny feel less lonely. I thank you. It doesn't matter what you stream, I'm here. Well, thank you. Hey, I'm glad. That's one of the reasons, again, like I said, when holidays roll around, when the holiday comes up, and when we see like Thanksgiving, for example, I will make some time that day. I try to make time. You notice I don't really take days off. I'm here almost all the time. Now, some days I make that short, but I try to be here all the time. Part of it, again, is I enjoy doing this stuff. Some of it, again, I mean, there is an aspect of work, but people take time. If I felt like this was a job and just work, I would never do that. I like hanging out with you folks. You folks are fun to hang out with. You all cut up. Some of you, I read some of the stuff you put in chats while I'm going through stuff. Sometimes when I'm laughing, like you hear me laugh just out of the blue. Like if I'm on with Megan or something, especially, like I do more goofing off and reading and stuff when I'm on, I'm not controlling everything with her. And you'll hear me sometimes. I'm like, inopportune times sometimes too. I'm like, oh no, I laughed, and that's a terrible place to laugh. But a lot of times I'm reading the chat and somebody in the chat says something hilarious and it messes me up, or I lose my train of thought. But I appreciate you all. You all are like a lot of you are for real, like a extended family. It's fun. I've been hanging out more with some of you than I hang out with my own family. I mean, outside of my, I'm talking about outside of my kids and stuff that I see all the time, my, regular family, there are people in my family I hang out with much less. So, and you come to appreciate people. You get to know them there. So thank you. What's up there? Thanks for the 5 there. Has it been a year yet since you left your day job? I'm just curious. It's right on it. It is. It's right on it. I don't know the exact day. I would have to look. I can't remember the exact date, but it's right there. So I talked about it last year, close to December, and I was very worried about it too. I was very worried about it, and it's worked out. It has been one of the best decisions. I've never, there's stress. I worry every day that, I have people that depend on me. I have, little kids that depend on me. So I do worry about that, but it is all worked out. So thank you all. You all make it work too. You all are the channel, so thank you there. But I've got to pull up the exact day. I can't remember. Maybe I'll have a 1-year anniversary. I need to do that. So that's a good idea. Puzzler, thanks for the 2 there. The behavior of anti-Hales is perpetually puzzling. It is, man. Well, it's when you think about some of these people, the reason they hate Hales too. They hate Hales over the smallest slights, some of them, Like he did it, when you look at some of them, for example, when you look at Guapo, for example, he did a lot for that guy. He helped that guy situate himself. Regardless of what happened, and regardless of his idea of what happened at the end of that, it amazes me how people will treat you despite you setting them up and doing so much for them. A lot of people become the, what have you done for me lately? And oh God, I hate that. I do. But some of them, it's the smallest perceived slight. They become filled with hatred. And I think a lot of it is jealousy too. It's crazy to see. What's up, Angela Queen? Thank you for the additional 10 there. As a legal executive, we have to get certified in New Zealand to look for the cases for presidents, etc. All can't do it, right? People need to check. Oh, yeah, AI. I said all. AI, my bad. All. AI can't do it right. Yes, people need to check it over who would want to property agreements done by AI. Yes, AI gets things wrong all the time. AI will gaslight you about it too. Like you go and check out ChatGPT. ChatGPT will lie to you about stuff. I've been making pictures, for example. It will tell me that words are exactly correct on something. And I'll be like, well, the words aren't there. And they're like, it's like, yeah, you're right. It's not that. It'll mess with you. It will do some of the weirdest things. I asked it one day, for example, I asked ChatGPT to do a page count. Simple thing, right? Page count. It told me some weird number, like a crazy number. And I thought, man, I was trying to see how many pages I'd written on something. I thought, man, I've written all that. That's wild. Then I looked and I noticed the number in Word did not line up with that. I thought, well, that's weird, So I asked ChatGPT again to look at it and give me a count and give me the same number. Okay. So I put the document into another program. And of course, it lined up with Word. So I asked ChatGPT and I told it, this number's wrong. I didn't give it the number, but I said, the number's wrong. And ChatGPT was like, oh, yes, I apologize. I said, yeah, the real number, it was like, let's just say it was 50 pages, right? I can't remember the right number. I said, yeah, the real number is 5 pages. And it was like, yeah, you're right. It's 5 pages. I'm like, no, it's not 5 pages. It's like 51. Oh, yeah, you're right. And again, it kept doing things like that. If it does that with page count, imagine what AI does with legal filings. And again, when the legal filing falls apart, you're the one that's screwed, not other people. That's the wild thing. What's up, Cynic, man? Thank you for the 5 there. Deuce, or his initials BM in the Fats, talking about suing 4 small YouTubers. I expect more Deuce versus Larry type lawsuits next year. Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting because, the Fats, for example, they keep talking about how they're going to sue because people have talked about their, let's say, their fundraising activities. And that, oh my God, you talk about these idiots. I think they're going to, if they're not careful, some of these idiots will walk themselves into real problems. Sooner or later, I think they will get in trouble. But it's going to be funny if they are the mechanism or the vehicle that gets themselves in trouble. Won't that be amazing? I would get a good laugh out of that. What's what? I drove through Tennessee today. Wade, did you on the way through? Oh, yeah, that was you. I said no. I'm just kidding. That's funny though. Yeah, I sensed a disturbance in the force. I knew someone was waving, and I waved back. I love it. Yeah, I really do like Tennessee. I've lived in other places. I like it here. I always have. I don't like the major cities. I've never liked major cities anyway. We have some terrible. Memphis used to be a great place. It was. Memphis was a place where you could go and enjoy a show or, an art exhibit. I saw King Tut when it came there, for example. It was great. Now I wouldn't go into Memphis because you have to worry about someone robbing and not only taking your money, but taking everything, let's just say. Memphis is a terrible place, but it used to not be that way. Tennessee has allowed that to happen, and it's crazy because outside of the large cities, you in your rural areas, some of them they're amazing. But man, some of the major cities, they are off the freaking chain. They are lost, basically. So, but I love Tennessee. I'm I hope you enjoyed the pass through. What's up, Cynic? Thanks for the 5 there too. They'll do lawsuits in the name of LP, HG, JC, Fleece, etc. They'll be slap suits, be able to look like an idiot to face the counter. Oh yeah. Like I said, they add me. I dare them to add me to a lawsuit with MP and HG. Let them add me to it. Let's see how that goes. Because like I said. They're not accounting for a couple of things, and I'll guarantee you that when they add it, it will be. I will drop a freaking atomic bomb on it, and I will for sure sue them back, and it will be glorious. It will be, and not only that, but unlike the ecosystem too. If we get to that point and they start filing bogus claims, I will ask for assistance to pay for lawyers because what they want to do is they want to financially burden you. That's what lawyers do. They try to financially burden people. But I'll be like, hey, I need help with this. And people will. And they won't be able to intimidate folks like that. So let's see. All right. Let me check a couple things here. What's up, Emma? Like you're the 5 there. Appreciate that. Putting toward a Coraline stuffing, TV, mini fridge. Thank you. I'll stack that up. I think I'll do that, and I think I'll put that forward. And also, I want to give a big thanks to someone as well. I don't know if I should note amount or anything, but Brian, man, thank you. Brian sent a Christmas present over. It was, again, the day and everything. It was a crazy day. It was a perfect day for it, and it was much appreciated, Brian. So thank you, big time, buddy. I very much appreciate the day there. Like I said, it was a good day for good news. So thank you. But let's see. Oh yeah, and also Jack's mom. What's up, Jack's mom? Thank you. You're lurking. Well, it's good to see you too, Jack's. All of you. I appreciate you. All right. I'm going to call it a day today. Now, tomorrow, again, I told you what we're covering. Other people will talk about it, I'm sure, but I'm digging for something in that. There's something I want to know. So stay tuned tomorrow. Tomorrow will be epic, I have a feeling. Anyway, appreciate you folks. And I think Jay is doing People Watch right now. Check that out. I'm going to go check on, see what the kids are up to.